Yeah, I have both a natural edge and a something else. First off, the natural edge is a cherry 5.5 inch in diameter. Everything is pretty symmetrical with that. And I put a groove in the top here because I made a lid for it out of walnut. So it's a natural edge with a lid.
Very nice. Is that lid all one piece, including the knob?
The lid is all one piece, yes.
Okay.
Lid's all one piece, made of walnut. And that's my small piece. I'd also wanted to try an outbound turning with a piece of cherry, the cherry tree that fell a couple years ago in a storm. So I made a nice big 15.25 inch diameter cherry bowl. That's about 4 inches high. And these are both finished with poly.
Can you turn that so you can see the bottom corner? There looks to be where the is there a branch or something or bark? Is that a?
That was a branch here. That was a branch.
What is that now? Epoxy?
Just wood filler.
Oh, okay.
Just wood filler and putty. So cherry wood filler.
That goes all the way through?
It went the whole way through, yeah. It's let's see if you can see it here.
Yeah.
There you go.
What are you turning on, Tim? What's your lathe?
It's a Atlas lathe from 1959. It was made for Sears Roebuck. It's one of those 4-speed lathes. So that was one of my problems. I couldn't get the thing to slow down low enough to get stability. I mean, the lowest speed was 625. So that was one of my real challenges. I had a lot of vibration when I started. So that's my two pieces.
You got a Santa Claus for a new lathe.
Well, I have another lathe that's a Delta MIDI lathe. So but it only has a 12-inch swing, and that's the biggest I could do on it. And this one outbound, I could do bigger.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't combine those little ones into a big one. You got to get
right,
yourself a bigger lathe.
right, right.
Okay. Is that it?
Jim Bowman.
That's it.
Okay. Bowman, you got your hand up?
Yes, I do. I don't know, electronically, it somehow disappears sometimes. Yeah, this conversation for the train station reminded me that I had turned this spring a bunch literally of bowls, etc., vases and all that from a very green persimmon tree that was taken down on a farm outside of, what is it, Silver Springs or something like that, a little bit to the west on what is the Marietta Avenue. But here's an example of what I have. I turned it green. I finished it with shellac friction finish because it was very green. And persimmon does not crack, but boy, does it move. And so the bowls got interesting. This is just one of I did about 30 pieces or something because I gave it to the family who was raised on that farm, and their 88-year-old dad decided to take it down because it was half rotted. Well, it was an amazing piece of wood. So I'm still turning some of it. It's sitting in my driveway. So
what size is that bowl you're showing here?
You know, that's a good question. I think it's about 6 inches tall, maybe 13 wide. I can't tell you offhand. Matter of fact, it's not here anymore. It's with the family. I have smaller pieces here that I kept. and I have some very interesting vases that I turned green, and as it dried, it really got, let's say it took on a shape of its own. It's been great fun. So
I don't know if Mike Peace is on here or not, but he's involved with the Four Ways Turning video series where it's him and Richard Raffin and Sam and Tomislav. Anyhow, so Tomislav did a little Christmas tree thing, and I said that looks kind of interesting, so I figured I'll try it. And it's a multi-axis turning, which is like the second time I tried it, and it came out well. Used the skew and didn't kill myself, so it was a success. And my wife thought it was awful cute, so that's a bonus. So then I decided, what the heck, let's try the multi-axis thing. So just, playing around with that. So that's been fun. Haven't killed myself yet. Ouched my finger once or twice, but that happens. But this is a project I've been working on for about 2.5 months. It's just a simple bowl.
Hold it up to the light behind you, because I'm assuming it's translucent. Yeah. Look at that.
It's very translucent. So anyhow, I'm actually designed this one for a friend of mine, and it's fun because I like to put her personality into it. So of course she's a Mary Kay rep. So I did the Mary Kay logo in the center of the bottom, and then if you can see it or not.
That light behind you on the lathe.
Yeah, we're seeing through it. Yeah, that's nice.
But anyhow, so in here, she was a cheerleader, so I used the scroll saw and made a megaphone and put that in. Her husband is the track coach at Millersville for the women's track, so I did the Mercury thing. And this is what I was talking to you at the symposium about.
Hold it so it lights inside it.
That I did a thing and I really hated it. This was what I was making because the detail in the wings was horrible, and got the micromotor thingy, and then I was happy with
So
it.
you pierced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her sons play soccer. So I put a little bit of each one of them to represent their family into the bowl, and then build an internal structure to mount everything on before I did the pour, and put 3 different types of potpourri in between the accent pieces. And then of course I have reeds with different colored epoxies and some colored pencils. And then I decided it needed a rim and a base because I didn't like the way it was. So I mounted the rim, mounted the base, and my glue line was horrible. So then I decided, what the heck? So I did a copper inlay around the outside, and that was a lot of fun. And when I say fun, there were a few extra words spoken, trying to get it to stay in that groove on the side. So
Those words didn't start with FU like fun does, does it?
it may have. So this piece, I thought I was all done with it last Saturday because I'm finishing with an epoxy because I want it to be completely functional, as a fruit bowl or whatever she wants to use it for. And got the last coat of epoxy on it Saturday, and Sunday morning I went in and it was delaminated. So back on the lathe and with the gouge and redid all the epoxy coating. So it's not finished. I got a couple bubbles that I got to deal with now, but
And just start over.
It's just about finished. I have to have it to her by Friday.
Okay.
So, because I thought I was done with it last week.
Take some good pictures of that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And of course, so the bottom's not finished yet because I need to, for the epoxy, I put it on a slow turn thing. So, but yeah, so that's what's been keeping me busy.
So Rick, approximately how many hours do you have? This on?
Way too many. I don't know, because the soccer ball, that was fun. I'm like, yeah, I'll just do a soccer ball. So I cut out the hexagons and the pentagons and went to put them together. And then I realized you can't put a flat 5-sided object with 6-sided objects. It doesn't work. So then I had to make half a sphere to get it to look like a soccer ball instead of a blob. So it wasn't just turning, it was a lot of other woodworking techniques that I got to learn and utilize in order to put it together.
So you don't know the hours, but when did you start it? How many months ago?
2.5 months ago.
2.5.
Yeah, yeah. And it may have been a little longer than that. I'm not sure. It might be probably closer to 3.
And how many cases of birding?
Not enough.
Well, we bought a micro motor, so I'm pretty sure it took some time.
Yeah, actually, it went really well because I did a lot of it with the scroll saw, and then just went back in with the micromotor and touched up and did the final carving on it, so to speak. Dressing up the details. So, but it was fun.
Well, when you give it to her, ask her if she's willing to part with it for 3 months, because that would be a great exhibit.
It needs more features.
It might. I run short on ideas.
No lights. You put any lights in it.
Yeah, lights, functional bulb lights. I don't know. All right, we have another Zoom shot.
5 inch. And the only way I could get this to come out right, so that I could use the biggest amount of surface on this side for the bowl, was to throw it off center so much that this actually encroached on the base. So it came out pretty decent regardless. I have no idea what kind of wood it was. I got it from here and it wasn't marked. But I used boiled linseed oil to finish it, and it seemed to take that pretty well. It didn't soak in like it does in other kinds of wood. I did a piece of poplar today, and it just kept sucking up the oil. It's like, wow. So what I did is I burnished it out, and then I epoxied it, and that fixed it.
How you doing? I made this Christmas tree ornament. This is a piece of oak, which I stained with chestnut stain, green and blue. I usually don't like turning oak, but it's actually I don't know how well you could see this, how clear it is, but it actually it looks pretty cool with the stain in it, with all the grain, with the deep grain in the oak. And the finial is just a piece of cherry that I actually 2 pieces of cherry. This is 1 piece, it's another piece that I just painted black. That's it. And also a couple of months ago, I showed this piece.
Yeah.
And you guys asked me what kind of wood it was, and I guess I had a brain cramp because I couldn't remember what it was, but this is a piece of apple wood. And this has the maple inlays, bow tie inlays. And I also filled the crack with epoxy with black toner.
Do
That's
those
it.
bow ties go all the way? Oh, no, you just answered. I was gonna say, do the bow ties go all the way through? They're surface mounted, right? They're not through.
Yeah, they don't go all the way through. These are only about maybe 1/8 of an inch thick.
Okay.
Yeah, if I was gonna go all the way through, I'd probably go with something real much thicker, like 3/8 or something like that. Yeah,
You cut them all by hand?
I have a template with a router.
Okay.
down cut bit. And these I buy. The bow tie inlays I buy. Big Island Engraving.
Okay.
They're in Hawaii.
Cool.
So that's it. Thank you.
Very nice, Gary.
Thanks.
Okay, this is a piece of Ambrosian maple, which I had for a long time. Cut it off of a tree up in Lidditz. It's a hollow form. And I put a mahogany finial on. It had some real nice character.
What'd you hollow?
Lyle,
Jameson.
yeah. Then two bowls off of the same piece of wood. And I think they're a Norway maple. Have some nice figuring.
Just hold it still for a second.
So that's it.
Thank you, Ben.
I haven't been turning in a while, but why not? Why not? I'm not sure. Start off by showing you a piece I brought in for John, a piece of I made this a long while ago. It's a long enough ago that the back is faded. It's 2017 or 2012 or something like that. 2013. It's a piece of red elm, or not red elm, but redwood burl. A guy gave me a piece of had a piece of 4x4, and I just brought a piece in for because John had mentioned about having not turned redwood. We may have worked with redwood, but I thought, well, he's got a nice piece of burl would make a box, but that's the color of redwood burl if you get it. And then I just happened to read the other day that we're doing a natural edge, and I had this cherry burl up on my lathe getting ready to core it out, and so that's a piece of natural edge cherry burl, both sides. I got it. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's a just a polyurethane finish on it, and this is the first core out of it. So I haven't finished that one off, but you can see that it's and I had it had a couple of pieces out of it, so I put glue in there and put some sawdust in there to try and get the glue off. But another one, I'm just trying to see how well I can do with that one, and it's not quite finished. And then the third one, since I was on a roll, I also had this other piece of natural edge burl. It was another piece of cherry burl, and as you can see, if you hold it up to the light properly here,
You can see a little hot spot in the middle there.
I almost went through, but not quite. So it came close to a funnel, but anyway, but it's not quite finished, but it's yeah, the problem, I think I left it.
You got that thing without it breaking off.
Well, let me put it this way. What you do is, I had it on a jam chuck to take off the back here, right?
Okay.
And what you do is you watch very carefully, and if you have to tighten up your jam chuck because it's starting to slip,
Yeah.
actually what's happening is the whole piece is bending inwards. so now you're backing out a little bit. You say, oh, I can push this in and out. So the second question is, how am I going to get this little tiny nubbin out? Because you don't want to use a chisel or anything like that because of whatever. So I finally just took some.
Sander.
Well, yeah, I took a 2-inch diameter, one of my 3-inch discs with a 100 grit sandpaper and sanded it down so it came off, and that's it. I was talking about that, and it was recommended. I talked to some other people tonight that had interest. I thought about putting a reinforcing base on the bottom of that because of it, but it's. I got to admit, it is pretty. I mean, it is thin, but unless you actually throw something at it like a dart, it's not going to break in the middle. So I'm not sure exactly whether I should put something on the base or whatever.
That would actually look pretty cool.
Well, I brought actually a piece of, rather than a pedestal, I brought it, I understand what you're saying, to make it so it stands up completely, so it's intentional. I'll think about that, actually. What would you use for it? Because I don't want to detract too much from the burl.
You could make a very tall finial that has a cap that goes through the middle of the plate. It could be like a candy dish or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
So, sort of, because it would get the plate way up off the table, which would look lovely.
And what? But my question is, what type of wood would walnut?
You could use like a rosewood, or you could use like a coca-cola, or you could
or walnut or something.
Some kind of very, yeah. I mean, walnut if you got all sapwood, something really contrasty. Not something that's gonna detract from the burl.
Yeah. So, but
sort of darker and
so walnut is so without sapwood, as you're saying, as opposed to with sapwood.
Yeah,
okay.
just heartwood, something really quite
really
dark. That or make some Pennsylvania ebony.
Yeah, I have done that too. That's good.
Yeah.
Another thought.
Dye some maple black.
We're painting epoxy finish on it. Let the epoxy cool in the center. After it hardens, you'll still look thin, but you got yourself an eighth of an inch.
Some tiny koi fish from China, just float them in epoxy.
I actually brought with me. I have a piece of Purple Heart. That I was thinking of just it's very thin, just to make it like a little piece to just lift it up. But I never thought of actually putting it on a pedestal. I like the idea of the pedestal better than the.
This would also be a good one for your ball feet that you like so much. If you made a Purple Heart ball and just flattened the bottom of it so it could sit flat on the table,
okay.
That piece could just rest like right on the ball. That'd be
Doug,
cool.
Doug, I think that Purple Heart and Cherry don't mix color wise. I've tried them together and I just don't think they work. Now maybe some other artists would, but purple and the cherry color just don't work together. I'd make a finial out of poplar and paint it black and be done with it. Hey, by the way, I would love to know how you oriented the burl when you were cutting those pieces. That's always the trick with burl. Do you have any photos of that or anything? How you oriented the burl before you start cutting it?
Well, this burl was actually sitting out. So actually, this was the center of the wood here on this one, and so yeah. If I take a look at the burl was built out this way, and I made 3 cuts off the outside. It was a really strong burl.
Was it burl the whole way through, or was there some branch on that side that you checked?
It was burl the whole way through, and there was a little bit of branch on it, but I ended up turning it away. So there was a little piece of branch right in this section right in here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that. No, sorry. Anyway. And I after it went flying across the shop, I decided not to include it in the bowl. So,
what coring system do you use?
I have not.
You have a McNaught, don't you?
You have a McNaughton, I think. A McNaughton.
Yeah, that's what McNaughton coring system. I was thinking I was thinking about my hollow forming. No, I have a McNaughton coring system, and they're okay. I like to think of them as being a little bit more flexible because with the McNaughton I can get these really shallow cores on them.
I see that
much more than you can with the
one way.
So that's why I actually like it, but it does take a little bit of bit more. It's a steeper learning curve, I guess, is the way people put it. So
right, looks nice. It's great. Looks great.
Thank you.
I don't remember if I showed you any of these things in progress or not. This is a 9-bowl set. I was going to try and tell you that I did it with my magic laser guided magnetic coring system, but that's not true. But it is all from cherry. I found some 4-inch thick cherry down at Groff and Groff, so that's what got it started. I think I got 5 of them out of that, and then the rest of it was just more Pennsylvania cherry that I had around. What I've done nesting sets of bowls where you start with a little one, but that's problematic because then you got to fit the inside of the next one to the back of the little one. So that doesn't work real well. It does work is starting with the big one, and then you can fit the next one into it. And you just got to, be aware of your chucking tendon is going to get smaller, and Yeah, and you can get them so they'll all sit down level, but I don't like that. I've done that a few times. That winds up with they get shallower and shallower. I like them rising like this. So, this is a completely non-commercial because you can't sell 9 bowls for any reasonable amount of money, but it'll be a nice gift for somebody. And then I got some figured Purple Heart. And I had never seen figured Purple Heart before. It's like quilted like maple. I didn't know it did that. I did some research and found that it actually does fairly commonly. But I just got a piece of it about like this, and this was the test piece to see how it would come out.
Show it to the camera, John.
Where's the camera?
Right
There. Yeah. You can't see you probably can't see the Ripley figure in there.
Yeah, you can see.
It's very nicely shimmery. There you are.
There you go.
Yeah. It's very nicely shimmery. The finish on all of this is Osmo oil, which I learned about from the guys in Edmonton on Coffee Hour. It's a German oil wax mix that is food safe. It's probably they say it's the only finish that the Canadian authorities, which are kind of uptight, and the German authorities have agreed is actually food safe, and they allow it to be used on kids' toys and stuff. But what I liked about it, I got a bottle to try it. It's expensive as hell. And a little wee tiny dab will do you. This is 2 applications, and these are all 2 applications as well. But I actually couldn't see any difference between 1 coat and 2. And I put it on the way Stu Bremner suggested doing it with a little dab of paper towel, and then run the lathe up real high and kind of heat it into the wood by getting some good friction going.
I found out that stuff turns brown,
It will turn brown.
and if you put your coating on too soon before it turns red again, it'll stay brown.
I don't think this is going to turn. It's not going to stay purple.
No, I mean, if you put the coating on before it turns red again, you have to leave it exposed to the air for like 2 or 3 days. Then it'll turn red again.
I didn't know that. I just
I
turned.
found that out the hard way.
I didn't know that was the case at all. It's the first time I ever worked with Purple Heart. It was just, and maybe I turned it and let it sit for a couple of days. I don't remember, but it seemed to me it was stayed purple the whole time. Some of the other woods I have, exotic woods I've been experimenting with, do that. You turn into them and they're like gray, and then they turn color. They take about 2 days for the color to come back. But this didn't seem to me it was like that. Partly the wood was kiln dried already.
Okay.
It wasn't, there was no moisture issues with it. Anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Hey, John, I was watching that Coffee Hour. It was October 6th. If anybody wants to go back and that discussion of that finish. Was
Oh,
pretty good.
yeah.
Was it the Pro X was the brand because this Osmo has 6 or 7.
Oh,
different-
it's Osmo Top Oil.
the top oil.
Top oil,
Okay.
yeah. They make it for kitchen countertops and salad bowls and butcher blocks and stuff like that. But buffed into the wood, like burned in hard. And I actually did a little test. This one I buffed with a white wheel and then waxed, and this one I didn't. And there's a little bit more sheen here, but not hardly any. I think it's a really good finish that just you don't have to do anything to. The more you do to it, the worse it gets.
Is that available in America, or do you have to buy it from Germany?
I bought it from Amazon.
Wow.
They bought it from Germany for them.
Yeah, wherever it came from.
How long does
They
it take
just told the Germans to send it to them.
How long does it take dry?
Overnight.
Hey, John, did you buff it at all?
No, I did the purple one. I didn't do the others. I don't think it makes any difference with this stuff. It gets a little bit of a sheen from buffing, but it got it anyhow.
So these pictures, this is, I don't know if you guys remember the bowl that I demolded during my presentation last month. That's this guy. It's sold, well, I finished it that following weekend, and then what was it, a week or 2 later, I had a market event, so it sold. So I no longer have that, but turned out really great. There's a couple more pictures there. That's the inside. That is, see, that's a cherry. Yeah, that's a cherry burl. I have one more picture there. Should be, yeah, that's just holding a light overhead, just a really neat effect, shining a light through the piece. I forget what the diameter was on that piece.
Do
Seven.
you mind sharing what you sold it for?
$110,
Oh, okay.
which is something I'm interested, Carl, especially. What are your thoughts on that?
On the price?
Yeah. I know that we had a big
I
discussion.
would think low end, so.
Mhm.
You 7-inch pole, you said?
I think it was
I
around
thought you were
7
a little
inches.
bigger than that, but whatever. Yeah.
So-
For some reason, I have in my head you were a little bigger than 7 inches, but.
I forget. I don't have it written down anywhere. I'm not sure.
Just take the price of the epoxy you poured in and multiply by 5 and then sell it. So I tell you, that epoxy adds up costly in a bowl very quickly. So
Yeah.
It does, yes.
But that money was donated to charity, right?
Yes. But I still want to keep my pieces within, fair market value. I don't want to devalue the next guy's items.
Some of mine are priced if you want to look on the bottom.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
pick 'em up and look at them.
I'll have to check that out. But okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, something that I'm still trying to figure out where I can set my price, where I can set the prices and still sell them. But so this piece, I was debating about bringing this piece along. But when I saw that it's Natural Edge November, I thought, well, I need to bring it along. So this is an end grain box elder piece. So you have the natural edge on the outside. This is the way the tree was, just like this. So of course the natural edge is on the side of the bowl instead of on the top. It had a big crack in here that I thought the blood red would go well with the box elder.
Which finger was that?
Which finger? It has gorgeous flame in it. And
Do you think that's gonna stay red?
I'm not sure. I put water locks on it. I
It
have
will if you don't put it in any sunlight at all.
okay, because I have some pieces that I turned, I don't know when that was, a year ago or whatever it was, that I have just a wax coating on it, and it's kind of a not pretty pink
It's like
color.
all wood, it will go to brown eventually.
Yeah.
I've got some box elder that had the box for 15 years and it's still red, but the
Okay.
problem is it's been in a box for 15 years.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if the water locks would help to.
No, it's
To
not
keep the
UV
UV?
protected, it's UV light, it's gonna
Okay.
turn it brown.
Isn't
Okay.
spar varnish UV protection?
No.
Well,
And I've already had the discussion about putting sunscreen on pieces, and I was told that many people have tried it, it does not keep it doesn't keep the UV rays.
I have met some guys who color it in with red.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
they'll just color
Dye it red.
Okay.
epoxy is UV
Tell
inhibited.
it before it turns brown is my suggestion.
I thought of that too. All right, and then the other piece, with doing epoxy pieces, of course, I end up, a lot of times you mix just a little more than you need. And I end up with, I just let it sit in the cup and I end up with all these little pucks of just random pieces. And I'm trying to think for a long time, what am I ever going to do with all these? So I had the idea recently that, well, what if I just took those pieces and just broke them, those pucks, and just break them to pieces and throw them in a bowl. The idea was to go for like a broken sea glass look, but I don't know. I think it looks more like just little rocks or something. But either way, I'm very happy with it.
Looks like Van Gogh knockoff.
It looks like like a snowy hillside. It has a look to it, even, like.
My original idea was just to take all the colors I have, pink and red and green or whatever, just throw them all in for some, I don't know, some weird psychedelic whatever. But I thought that's just not me. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with blues and whites.
What's the
So
wood?
that's walnut.
Walnut. Okay.
Black walnut crotch piece. I don't know if the lighting will pick up. Yeah, in there it has. Got some really nice figuring in the walnut. So, and that's finished with Waterlox gloss. This box elder piece is a medium sheen Waterlox. So 3 coats of Waterlox on there. I wasn't feeling brave enough to go with the clear epoxy, so I tinted it lightly. That's all I have.
I have an observation. I bet there isn't one show and tell that has the same finish as another one there. Isn't that an interesting adventure?
Yeah, I dug out the stuff in my miniature cabinet. This is an oak burl. The grain in this is really quite nice when you see it up close. So this has been, was cored in '96, so it's still a little wet. When I finished this, this had a tenon about 2.5 in diameter and 3/8 tall. Here, it was still round. It's any reason not to use it. I live on the edge. Started doing the final cut and noticed that piece is moving just a little bit on the chuck. Well, shit, that's not good. And here, the bark inclusion right under the tenon. I didn't let that stop me. It changed my approach. So, you know, we all do the outside and we come around and do the inside, whether it's on a core or whether it's from a solid blank. I was working on the outside, getting some true on it, and seeing that movement, I stopped. I moved to the inside and I worked the inside of the piece, worked it, gouging, and then moved to scraping. So to get that final edge in here is scraped. You're asking for trouble either way. There's so many broken surfaces in here, but it all worked out. And then this little simple edge, you can pick that up. There's a little raised edge in there. So this all worked out. It didn't come apart. This is one coat of natural Watco. And this mass is as far as I could go with this and keep this as one piece. There are several fractures, some that are quite large. If I went any thinner, this was going to come apart. And once you see this, it was really just a ticking time bomb. But it all worked out. So that was quite a lot of fun to get done. Thanks. I could probably, you think I can get $5 for that somewhere at some thrift shop?
Probably not.
Nah, firewood.
$250.
I'm gonna burn it tonight. This is a piece Richard Raffin made in 1979. It's English apple, and it has an irregular edge. It's not a natural edge. He cut that edge. Made 3 of these. This one that Ellsworth has, and there's one other. I got this from Richard directly, and this is something he used frequently. And it's just a very nice bowl. If you know apple, which I know some of you do, that's an uncommon size to find in this thinness, still intact.
Good match to your shirt color, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I spent a lot of time coordinating.
Figured that wardrobe out.
Yeah, my closet said, God, he's gay. So Norway maple with some ambrosia, yet no bug holes, no beetle holes. And what I like about this piece is there's just so much figure in the grain, and it's all stayed together nicely. And the interior, there's a ring in the, as you come down the side slope into the bottom, everybody preaches, you know, you can't see that line defined, you can't see, that's a sign of bad workmanship. I call bullshit. This is on purpose. I like the way this, with the chatoyance in this piece, that line forces you to see the dimensions in this. It's not helping, is it? Yeah, sorry. It's on purpose, and I think it works well. More pieces and I'm done. This is Norway maple, again, ambrosiaed. Simple foot, not even really a foot, it's just decorative. Here's just this ring as the foot. Norway maple, no, this is silver maple, excuse me. This is decorative. This is not a functional foot. The foot is out of the outer rim. This is on purpose. This ring just to give it some decoration inside and to define the mass a little better. What's nice about this, I just like the way the grain worked out with the patterning on this piece, and it's held together nicely.
Do those dark lines like permeate the whole trunk, or do you have access to more than this?
So the Norway maple, and if those who are familiar with the ambrosia woods, ambrosia is not a species. Ambrosia is a beetle that will invade the trees. So this is silver maple, this is Norway maple. They don't typically affect or attack Norway maples. Their favorite is going to be silver maple and red maple. But when you're hungry, you're hungry. Need a place to live, you'll go anywhere. There are a number of other species of wood that they will affect, infect, attack. But these are silver is the dominant with red maple right next to it. This goes through the trees that I have. The Norway maple came off of my property. I had a long discussion with a couple members of our club about, well, it can't be Norway maple because I don't. Okay, I know the tree. I took it down. The silver maple is very common, and yes, that pervades the tree. Typically, at least the first 10 to 15 feet, and often beyond. This particular tree, it was 30 feet up, and the whole tree was like this. So I have a lot of this wood. And that's fairly common to get well marked wood. This is just a really nice example of fully affected. And this one is probably 6 inches from the pith. The pith is over here, so it's well defined. Sorry, somebody had a
So
question?
it runs vertically? It runs vertically
Yes.
with veins?
Beetles run vertically. Right. No, if you were to drop the tree, you will see what looks like a starburst coming from the center out. But if you were to then saw the tree for lumber, you would see this effect.
Okay.
And the grain is running north-south, up and down.
Yep.
So can you make a broad enough statement that anytime you see those type little drill holes, is that an ambrosia beetle doing that, or
No, the coloring in the wood is
it's
the tree reacting to the ambrosia beetle.
Right, but I've turned some
Box elder, that red stain is a reaction to an attack on the tree. It's an elder tree, which is a maple relative. But that's a reaction.
My question was about the hole.
I get that. So other bugs will also drill. Right. You know, it's ambrosia is people are referring to this effect because they don't realize it's what's making it. But so a lot of people think that's a species. It's not.
On your first bowl, did you use anything to hold those cracks together, or they just like you found them?
A number of people suggested that I tape the bowl on the outside. Either you shrink wrap or tape, duct tape, electrical tape, something, just to keep it from in and out as I changed the speed. And I turned that pearl bowl at between 600 and 800 RPM. So you need to have some speed on dry wood to get your cuts if you're going to keep going past all those little breaks. And no, I did not tie it together. I wanted to I was in the mood to take some risks. The safe way to do it would be to wrap the outside of the piece so that it doesn't flex.
What I really was asking, did you put epoxy in the
No.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to cast aspersions, but I'm not a big fan of that. For me, it's the technical challenge of keeping the piece together. And then there's a place for epoxy. It's fine. It's just not my thing. So that's why I chose to leave it as natural as I could. That's one coat of finish on there, really just to highlight the grain that's in it and make it.
I'm sorry if I said epoxy. I meant CA glue.
No, that's fine. I get it. I get that, and I don't typically use glue. I just don't typically use it. Thanks.
So I'm continuing to turn bowls. This is the challenge bowl. It's a piece of cherry. It's very white. Has a natural edge, and I finished it with a Danish oil. And there's a picture on the computer, I think. So the zoom, there you go. Yeah. And then this is just a show and tell piece, but my daughters, my granddaughters, and well, my family, we were all down at the beach in early October for birthdays, and my little granddaughters were going along the break, picking up these colorful rocks. So I turned this bowl out of that piece of cherry too, and I tried to get really, really thin. You can see it's very warped. And then I took some of my granddaughter's stones and put a little mineral oil on. I'm going to put them in there. I'm going to give them to one of my granddaughters as a little gift.
Hey, your cherry, I got a question about it.
Yeah.
Is it white? In reality, your picture suggests it's very yellow because you had a blue
Yeah,
thing. It's white.
It has a
right?
yellow tone.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But in reality, it sort of looks, when you see, you think cherry, you think a little more red, but yeah, but it's very smooth. Okay.
So mine is not going to be so much a show and tell as a show and ask. Once a week, Friday mornings, I volunteer at the Reuse It shop up in Ephrata. I'm in the area where we process the furniture and do repairs. We've got a set of twin beds. 2 of the pineapple finials are missing. And so the, turning the basic shape itself is not that difficult, but doing the pineapple part, I've watched some videos and it looks like it's going to have to be a lot of it by hand. And I appreciate your prompt. I sent Barry an email about his jig and he sent me some pictures and gave me some ideas, but
you're going about it all wrong. What you want to do is remove the pineapples from the bed that has them.
Well, that is an option.
Yeah.
We might, yeah. I mean, it's either make 2 or make 8.
Go to Garden Spot Furniture and buy another bed and just
Take the finials off. Anyway.
Place for the CNC machine.
Well, I see, yeah,
You
but
do have at least 4 finials total, right?
we've got 6 finials. We can just sell 1 bed, but there's the challenge of, well, gee whiz, just to throw out a bed because there's two finials missing.
No, make some other shapes.
Make them another shape.
Yeah.
Different fruit.
In addition, I've also got 7 rosettes that I need to make. So, again, it's maybe to add a couple bucks to a bed. But if any, whatever advice you have, and maybe John's got it. Just.
Do you have a micromotor or rotary carver?
I've got a Dremel tool.
Yeah, that's enough, but it would be hard on the hands if you're doing 6 of those.
Well, no, I'm only doing 2. I only do two.
Oh, I
of
thought
those.
there was another bed that has 4 missing.
No.
Oh.
We've between the 2 beds, we've got 6 of them. So
Borrow a micromotor from someone.
and that'll okay.
Talk about that way. You'll just have to draw the lines on.
Right,
I can
yeah.
Talk to you about it. In fact, I might. Are you available on Saturday for the?
I'm hoping to come here on Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can talk about it Saturday. I'll
Okay.
bring some stuff to.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Take 2 off the one bed, put it in the other bed, and make those different. It'll look right.
That is an option. Okay. Yeah, and turning rosettes, I've never turned one, but
It's easy.
how hard can it be? So, okay, fair enough. Appreciate it.
Alan,
Yeah.
your second challenge will be matching the color. You haven't gotten over the first challenge.
No.
You're gonna-
In doing my work, there's been a couple of times I've had to match colors, and I never get it quite exact, but there's times I'll put 3 different layers of stain on, and it's interesting how often I can come out close. So the color doesn't bother me near as much as the doing the groups, but yeah.
All right.
And in regards to coming on Saturday, and maybe this is stuff that we've already covered, but the 2 things that particularly interest me are sharpening tools sharpening the lathe chisels, and sanding. Those are two that the sharpening tools I think I basically got, but the sanding I just don't think I ever comes out quite like I'd like it to. So anyway, if anybody's here on Saturday and wants to demonstrate some sanding,
I'm not sure we do too much sanding here.
oh
Yeah.
The dust.
Yeah, you need a 4 axis on a CNC machine.
Well, I think there's the guy up in Canada who does some of that kind of stuff. Is that Bert or has the CNC machine doing all
Yeah,
sorts?
there's one of those guys, Jeff, I think it's a.
Doug.
All I was gonna say is if you're creating too much dust, if you're creating a whole lot of dust with your sanding, you're sanding too much.
Okay,
So
that sounds fair. Yeah. So that which comes back to making sure I have good tools,
yes, well,
the scrapers and so on.
you can talk.